Global updates.
Welcome to the Global Updates, bringing you the latest news from around the world. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Tonight, we bring you a developing story that has sent shockwaves through the aviation community and left travelers in Alaska and beyond on edge. We begin with breaking news out of Alaska, where a major aviation incident has forced the sudden and complete closure of one of the state's busiest airports. Authorities are now working around the clock to piece together exactly what happened, as the incident has not only disrupted travel plans for thousands, but also raised serious questions about air safety and emergency preparedness. Earlier today, it seemed like any other day at the airport. Passengers moved through security, families exchanged hugs, and travelers prepared for what they expected to be a routine flight. The Boeing 737, scheduled to depart for Seattle, was filled with people eager to reach their destinations, whether for business, vacation, or to reunite with loved ones. The mood was calm, and the airport operated as usual with no sign of the chaos that was about to unfold. But just minutes after takeoff, everything changed. Passengers aboard the flight were suddenly jolted as the aircraft began to shake violently, far more than typical turbulence. The cabin filled with tension and fear as overhead bins rattled and some passengers clung to their seats. Oxygen masks dropped from the ceiling, and flight attendants rushed to calm and assist those on board. For many, it was a moment of sheer terror as the uncertainty of what was happening gripped everyone on the plane. In the cockpit, the pilot and crew faced a critical situation. Demonstrating remarkable skill and composure under pressure, the pilot made the split-second decision to turn the plane around and attempt an emergency landing back at Anchorage. With emergency vehicles lining the runway and rescue crews standing by, the crippled aircraft touched down safely, averting what could have been a far more tragic outcome. Passengers were quickly evacuated and first responders moved in to provide assistance and comfort. Tonight, the airport remains closed as investigators comb through the scene, determined to uncover the cause of this terrifying ordeal and ensure the safety of future flights. On a crisp Alaskan morning, the bustling Ted Stevens Anchorage International Airport was alive with the usual energy of travelers eager to reach their destinations. Among the many flights scheduled that day was Alaska Air Flight 409, a routine service set to depart at 10 o'clock in the morning local time. The airport's runways glistened under the pale sunlight, and the air was filled with the sounds of rolling suitcases, boarding announcements, and the distant roar of jet engines preparing for takeoff. At the boarding gate, a sense of anticipation and routine filled the air. The flight was fully booked, with 140 passengers, families, business travelers, and tourists alike, eagerly waiting to board. 5 experienced crew members, including the captain and first officer, were busy with their pre-flight checks, ensuring every detail was in order. Flight attendants greeted passengers with warm smiles, helping them find their seats and stow their luggage, while the pilots reviewed their flight plan in the cockpit, confident in another uneventful journey ahead. As the aircraft taxied to the runway, passengers settled in, some gazing out the windows at the snow-capped mountains, others engrossed in their phones or chatting quietly. The engines roared to life, and with a surge of power, Flight 409 lifted off, climbing steadily into the sky. The initial ascent was smooth, the plane slicing through the clouds as the city of Anchorage faded below. In the cockpit, the pilots monitored their instruments, exchanging routine communications with air traffic control. Everything seemed perfectly normal, until without warning, as the plane reached an altitude of 10,000 feet, a sudden and violent vibration tore through the aircraft. Passengers were jolted in their seats as a deafening roar filled the cabin, drowning out all other sounds. Overhead bins rattled violently, some bursting open and spilling luggage into the aisles. The entire plane shuddered as if caught in the grip of a powerful storm. People clung to their armrests, eyes wide with fear, while loose items, books, bags, even cups of coffee were tossed about as if weightless. The sense of calm and routine was instantly shattered, replaced by confusion and terror. In the midst of the chaos, oxygen masks suddenly dropped from the ceiling, swinging wildly as the plane continued to shake. Panic quickly set in as passengers scrambled to secure the masks over their faces, struggling to follow the safety instructions they had barely paid attention to moments before. The cabin was filled with cries of alarm and the frantic rustling of passengers reaching for safety. In that instant, what began as a routine takeoff had turned into every traveler's worst nightmare, a life-threatening emergency at 30,000 feet. In the cockpit, Captain Emily Johnson and First Officer Mark Williams faced every pilot's worst nightmare. Warning lights flashed across the control panel and alarms blared, signaling a critical systems failure. With remarkable calm under pressure, Captain Johnson immediately initiated emergency procedures. She radioed air traffic control, reporting a loss of altitude and requesting immediate clearance to return to the airport. Back on the ground, a sense of urgency gripped the airport as emergency crews sprang into action. Firefighters, paramedics, and airport staff moved swiftly, each person knowing that every second could make a difference. The air was thick with anticipation and anxiety, as teams coordinated their efforts, preparing for any possible outcome. Their training kicked in, but the gravity of the situation was unmistakable. Everyone hoped for the best, but prepared for the worst. Fire trucks and ambulances lined the runway, their lights flashing anxiously in the morning sun. The bright red and white vehicles formed a protective corridor along the tarmac, ready to respond at a moment's notice. Airport officials communicated over radios, double-checking every detail, while medical teams stood by with stretchers and emergency equipment. The sight was both reassuring and sobering, a reminder of the risks that come with air travel and the dedication of those who stand ready to help. After what felt like an eternity to those on board, the crippled 737 finally appeared in the distance, its landing gear extended. The plane's approach was tense, every eye on the ground fixed on its descent. As the aircraft touched down, tires screeching against the runway, a wave of relief swept through the waiting crews. The pilots managed to bring the plane to a safe stop, despite the challenges they faced in the air. For the passengers, the ordeal was almost over, but the memory of those anxious moments would linger. Inside the cabin, a collective sigh of relief swept through the passengers. Some clapped, others simply closed their eyes and whispered thanks. Tears welled up in the eyes of a few, while others hugged their seatmates, grateful to be safely on the ground. The tension that had gripped everyone during the flight slowly began to melt away, replaced by an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Flight attendants moved through the aisles offering reassuring words and checking on those who needed comfort. As the plane taxied to the gate, passengers gathered their belongings, still shaken but unharmed. The doors finally opened and one by one they stepped onto solid ground, greeted by the embrace of loved ones and the concerned faces of airport staff. Emotional reunions unfolded at the arrivals area. Families hugged tightly, friends wiped away tears, and strangers exchanged knowing glances, bonded by a shared ordeal. While relief was the dominant emotion, questions lingered in the air. What had gone wrong? How close had they come to disaster? For now, though, the focus was on gratitude, resilience, and the simple joy of being reunited with those who mattered most. In the aftermath of the near disaster, the National Transportation Safety Board has dispatched a team of investigators to Anchorage. Their mission is pretty clear: to determine the cause of this terrifying incident. The investigation will focus on several key areas, including the aircraft's maintenance records, the pilot's actions, and of course, the role of air traffic control. Investigators will also be scrutinizing the plane's black boxes, the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder, for any vital clues. The black boxes, recovered from the wreckage, are now at the NTSB laboratory in Washington, D.C. Experts are working around the clock to extract and analyze the wealth of information they contain. The flight data recorder will provide a detailed account of the aircraft's altitude, speed, and other critical parameters during the incident. Meanwhile, the cockpit voice recorder will allow investigators to piece together the conversations between the pilots and air traffic control, providing valuable insights into their decision-making process. The NTSB investigation is expected to take several months, if not longer. Their findings will be crucial in determining what went wrong and what steps, if any, can be taken to prevent similar incidents from happening in the future. The NTSB has a long history of issuing safety recommendations to the Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA, based on its investigations. These recommendations often lead to changes in regulations, training procedures, and aircraft design. This latest incident has reignited concerns about the safety of aging aircraft. While the average age of commercial aircraft in the United States is increasing, experts are divided on whether this poses a significant risk to passenger safety. Some argue that older planes are perfectly safe as long as they are properly maintained. Others contend that older aircraft are more prone to mechanical problems and that airlines should be required to retire them sooner. The near disaster in Alaska is a stark reminder of the importance of aviation safety. We want to hear from you. Share your thoughts and feelings about this incident. How safe do you feel flying? What more can be done to improve airline safety? Join the conversation on our Facebook page and let your voice be heard. In the wake of the Alaska incident, the Federal Aviation Administration wasted no time. Within days, the FAA issued an emergency directive mandating immediate inspections for all aircraft of the same model nationwide. Airlines are now required to report their findings within a strict time frame, and maintenance protocols are being reviewed and tightened. Officials have emphasized that passenger safety remains their top priority, and they are working closely with airlines and manufacturers to prevent similar incidents in the future. These rapid measures reflect the FAA's commitment to learning from every event and reinforcing the trust millions of travelers place in air travel every day. While aviation authorities rushed to ensure safety in the skies, the sudden closure of the Alaska airport sent shockwaves through the local community. Small businesses that rely on air traffic, like hotels, restaurants, and taxi services, saw a dramatic drop in customers overnight. Local produce and goods, usually flown out daily, began piling up, threatening the livelihood of farmers and artisans. Residents faced delays in receiving essential supplies, and families were separated as flights remained grounded. Community leaders are now calling for support and creative solutions to help weather this unexpected storm, highlighting just how interconnected air travel is with every aspect of local life. In the wake of the Alaska airport incident, aviation experts from across the country are stepping forward to discuss what this event means for airport security nationwide. Dr. Linda Park, a former FAA safety analyst, warns that while incidents like this are rare, they expose potential vulnerabilities in our aging airport infrastructure and security protocols. Retired pilot and aviation consultant Mark Rodriguez adds, "This isn't just about one airport. It's a wake-up call for every facility in the U.S. to review emergency procedures, invest in updated technology, and ensure staff are trained for the unexpected." Industry leaders agree. The Alaska incident is prompting a nationwide reassessment of airport readiness. Their message is clear. Proactive measures and continuous improvement are essential to protect travelers and maintain public trust in air travel. As the dust settles on the Alaska airport incident, it's clear that aviation safety is a shared responsibility, one that involves not only pilots and airport staff, but also regulators, experts, and the traveling public. This event has highlighted the importance of up-to-date infrastructure, rigorous training, and swift responses to emergencies. It serves as a powerful reminder that constant vigilance and proactive improvements are crucial to keeping our skies safe. We encourage you to stay informed, ask questions, and support efforts to make air travel safer for everyone. By working together and remaining aware, we can help ensure that incidents like this become even rarer in the future. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates on aviation safety and news.